How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the show. Happy Monday. We got some technical shows for you today. Hopefully, let me know if Mike sucks or Mike okay. Hopefully, Mike's okay. This is a weird bug with StreamYard. I don't know what it is. StreamYard, the browser, one of them, but I literally have to manually don't turn on AirPods, connect, and then start streaming, and then turn back on AirPods, or it will not let me use my my Shure mic instead of my AirPods. So it should be okay though. But if it's not, let me know. Should be well and good enough. Privacy. Have you heard of it? Privacy and privacy protocols. Although I have new AirPods, by the way, so they might even sound even better than the previous ones. Warm out for the previous streams. Anyways, back to privacy. Privacy is something that, especially on the blockchain, often might not by default. Transactions. Actually, funny enough, I was thinking about this and how if there is privacy by default or widespread one day, how it's going to probably mess up a lot of different metrics and stuff that we can see on chain for people doing. Every time you see someone dumping, Hex or ETH or the opposite of that, you're like, oh, you can see, what wallet's doing it and what they had before and all that stuff too. With a lot of different privacy protocols, you may not be able to see that kind of stuff or only under certain circumstances and all that too. So chart of future market supply. I wonder if how that would change things for the different dashboards and metrics and stuff that we rely on and see and can use easily today with in the PulseChain ecosystem. So I want to go through a few different, I guess there's two different pieces of privacy on the crypto side that we're going to talk about. So one is on the wallet side, and there's different wallets that, for example, there's different MetaMask, for example. If you're using MetaMask, I always talked about changing the default RPC, so you're not using Infura, so they're not people, you aren't exposing your transactions to anyone out there looking at it or metadata and stuff like that more too. And then there's other wallets. For example, I think Internet Money they have a whole thing about like they don't collect data and they try to make things as private as possible and all that stuff. But that's not on the transaction side. That's not on the tech, the blockchain side. That's software. Can the software consume data using different plumbing, telemetry? Is it tracking different stuff? So there's the software side and the blockchain side. So there's different things you can do on the software side, especially even beyond wallets. There's what operating system you're using. Use Windows, for example. Use Mac, Linux, use something else. They all have their privacy issues. They all have different nuances and stuff like that too. But boy, I'm not going to go through the analogy. Type in privacy, crypto security and privacy in 15 minutes. That's the one I did at PulseX conference, which I go through a few different pieces on. And of course, go to GoRealDeFi.com, navigation, click privacy. You can see it there as well. But there's the privacy side on the software side and privacy on the blockchain. And the different pieces that we could have, I'll talk about what we have today, which is kind of confusing, honestly. I'm doing the research and there's definitely a lot of excitement around privacy and PulseChain. There's been protocols launched before. I'm not sure which ones are still in use. I'm not sure that had a whole tornado cash thing. So I think a lot of people were, the chilling effect were not super interested in doing privacy stuff anywhere, let alone on PulseChain or Ethereum and all that too. But there's different products, there's different protocols out there. There's stuff that happened in the past. I also want to bring that up that I don't know if you all remember, but I'll bring it up. But I think a year or so ago, the deployer or the address or otherwise that was the deployed, I guess, stable swap, I think what it was on PulseChain or for PulseX was also testing privacy protocols. I don't know if you all remember that, but I'll bring that up as well. So got a ton of stuff. Chat won't get to interact a whole lot today because I'll probably only go for about 40 minutes or so. But I get to questions or otherwise if I can. But I got a lot to dive into, so I'm going to give me just a second. Let me pull up the first one, and we can talk about that. Yeah, I want to start off with a privacy. Where's the I should really organize my bookmarks. I bookmark so much stuff, and then I'm like, I want to talk about that later. It ends up being a whole mess of stuff. Got a lot of great stuff coming up, by the way. Hex Week coming up in about a month from now. You never know when you see submissions come out for that. Maybe soon. Maybe signups be coming out for that soon. Very hex focused. This is not, that's why I don't call it a conference. It'll be very, it's very hex focused. I feel like a conference is more of a broader, type of thing. But this is like hours of hex each day for 5 days. Hex and related products, COM and perpetuals and Hedron and stuff like that. By the way, Alex, if you'd like to, Alex from Hedron, Alex from Sigma now, I don't know. If you'd like to speak at the conference and give us an update on what's been going on there, that'd be amazing as well. Never know. All right, let me find this though so we can get started. Why can't I find it? Okay. Here's one I'll pull up. So this was a tweet by Mr. Texcan, and I can't find the original one. I remember there was an original one somewhere. I did a whole video on this back then too. The same dev that deployed testnet v4 tested this stable swap protocol on PulseChain. Testnet also the same one was testing privacy protocols. So as far back as this was last year, say 8, 9, 10 months ago, almost a year ago, there was something, I can't find the original tweet, but I remember having it somewhere. Same dev deployed testnet, stable swap protocol testnet, privacy pools. So privacy pools, I think they've been around in testing, maybe in beta for a while. And I also retweeted, Richard had tweeted back in March, I want to say, that they're official, like that. I guess they're, I'm not sure they're deployed on Ethereum yet, but they're like, they work. I think so. I'm not sure. I'll bring that up as well. But there's a whole bunch of different privacy stuff that's been happening over time. And we can see that the top players in the chain seem to be pretty interested, or we said the PulseChain devs, we speculate, are pretty interested in privacy protocols too. And of course, Richard's talked ad nauseum about privacy and why it's important, and human right and freedom and all that stuff as well. So it's not hard to believe that this is a priority that we may see sometime. Let me find the tweet where he talked about this. Sorry, I'm not more prepared. I thought my bookmarks were can be easier to get to. Let me just search from Richard Hartwin. Privacy pools. Yeah, so this one. Let's see what else he talked about though. You mentioned it before. So back in March 2024, thanks for privacy pools, looking at the contracts and click forks. Looks like it's running on Ethereum testnet. So this was 2 years ago. So this was maybe a test repo or something for it, for the privacy pools. And then this one was back in, so literally almost a year exactly. This was March 13th and March 31st, almost a year after that. Bitcoin Ethereum gave you constitutional right to privacy. This just launched. The privacy pool launched. So this is the repo for it. Let's check out the docs real quick. What is privacy pools? The challenge of private transactions. On public blockchains like Ethereum, every transaction is visible to everyone. While this transparency is a core feature, it creates significant privacy challenges and risk for users. When all transactions are visible, each transaction reveals the full balance of the transaction history of both parties. So that's how it works today. All right, this is today. Send a transaction, you can see where it came from, where it's going, all that stuff. Now there's different, if you do it cross chain, if you do it through like bridge, and there may be like different contracts or different pieces you got to look at and make it harder. There may be some kind of by default obfuscation that just happens because there's not a clear, the contract does something with it. There may be other ways that accidentally, like, what is it? Like if you send, if you, the pseudo-anonymous, like by default way that a lot of people may think of as well as, if, for example, big exchange, if you send do something on Coinbase, do something on Binance, do something on name a big exchange, and you send money from there, which is like a huge wallet with a ton of different kinds of like that, different pieces like that, and you send it to your wallet or somebody else's wallet or whatever, then there may be some kind of like chain analysis you have to do or otherwise, but that's like it's not like a direct to direct, it's not like a person to person type of transaction. And it's not that, so that company kind of knows your information if you KYC to them, all that. But it's not, you can't directly, I guess it's harder, but that's what I'm saying. It's like pseudonymous. It's not like really anonymous. It's just kind of by accident that there's not like a one-to-one correlation versus the peer-to-peer transaction. Because if you're sending a transaction, a whole bunch of other people sending transactions from a wallet, then it's maybe hard to put together. I don't know. In the age of AI, it's probably these things, probably up on a spectrum, and maybe it gets easier, harder and stuff too. Anyways, that's why a lot of people are like, oh, if I send it from a centralized exchange to another wallet, and there's a ton of people using those wallets and a ton of people transactions, that's what some people may consider kind of like more anonymous or less of a trail or something too. But that's different than actually, some of these privacy pools, I think with Tornado Cash and all these, they have these batch, and the more people that use them, the more they can, it's hard for me to like explain this. It'd be great if I had like a visual diagram or something, but, and I talked about this the other day, which I wonder if I still have that pulled up. But the more they do things in like, 10 ETH, 100 ETH, 1 ETH. I think that's where we saw, that's what we seen the other day when somebody was using Railgun, or was it the OA or something, and they were using it, or whatever. Well, they're using in certain increments of, I think 10, like 1, 10. Actually, if you go to, if you just go to Tornado Cash, let's go to Tornado Cash real quick. Maybe Tornado.cash. I wonder what the interface shows, because it'll probably make more sense too. Yeah, okay, so 0.1 ETH, 1 ETH, 10 ETH, 1 ETH. Yeah, so that's like part of the, anonymity set. So number of deposits from which a withdrawal will potentially originate. So that's how they kind of like get you into this mix of different people using it, and it makes it harder to trace and all that stuff at like a top level. We're going to pop around a little bit as I like think of different pieces, but so privacy pools. Privacy pools offer a solution. Privacy pool enables private withdrawals through a combination of zero knowledge proofs. So there's a tech side too. There's this like there's the infrastructure, like the way of grouping transactions, anonymity set, all that. And then there's the tech side of like actually the cryptography side of zero knowledge proofs, which are super interesting and been around for a long time. But I think they just started having these real world applications and started being used more in crypto and stuff as well. Maybe in the last few years at least. Combination of zero knowledge proofs and commitment schemes. Users can deposit assets into privacy pools and later withdraw them. So that's the thing too. So you can deposit into a privacy pool, and I think it's like a bunch of people are using it, and you don't withdraw them maybe at a random interval, or it's basically like putting a bunch of money, putting a bunch of crypto or whatever into a pool. Instead of sending a transaction, this is the way I think about it. Instead of sending a transaction peer-to-peer, where there's a trace that went from one person to another person. This is more like you put it into a pool, and then at some time later on, like you can withdraw it later. So there isn't this like one-to-one person transaction. It's like, okay, you're in there with a bunch of other transactions, a bunch of other deposits, a bunch of other coins, and the contract or the tech side of shield like protects that and makes it where there's not this trace of them coming out to the side. Very simplistic way of looking at it, but that's kind of the difference between using a pool, using a privacy pool, versus just like sending a transaction. That's the way I think about it. Don't claim to be an expert on these. I'm going through the docs with you as well, but I want to get through a few of the things that are relevant to PulseChain stuff too, but let's do privacy pools. So user can deposit assets to privacy pools, later withdraw them either partially or fully without creating an on-chain link between their deposit and withdrawal addresses. So that's the important piece of this. The protocol uses an association set provider, ASP, to maintain a set of approved deposits, preventing potentially illicit funds, managing system, and enabling regulatory compliance. So this is something where they're trying to get around the Tornado Cash stuff, where I think with Tornado Cash, it's different, where they don't censor stuff or they don't group things in other ways. And maybe that's how it was easier for them to get sanctioned or something. It was just kind of like, there was no, again, you can debate like, oh, it's a good thing or bad thing. It's bad guys use it more, but it's like, how do you degrade privacy for the good users? And how do you get it deployed? Can it be shut down if it's in jurisdictions? All that stuff too. But so system architecture, contract layer, upgradable entry point contract that coordinates ASP operated privacy pool, asset specific privacy pools that hold funds and manage state. So zero knowledge layer. So contract layer, zero knowledge layer, commitment circuits for secure deposit registration, withdrawal circuits that enable private asset withdrawals, on-chain verifiers that validate circuit proofs. So looks like some verifiers piece of that as well. And the ASP layer maintains a current set of approved deposit labels, updates state through authorized accounts, enables regulatory compliance without compromising price. So that's the hard piece to get correct, which may be the game changer for this, where, okay, maybe they won't get shut down like Tornado Cash before, even with the pro crypto administration and government and stuff, because they, I don't know, maybe they have some like OFAC list or something they work through. These layers work together to create a secure, privacy-preserving system. The contract layer manages assets and state. Zero-knowledge layer manages privacy. And the ASP layer provides compliance capabilities. Okay, so that's the compliance piece. Yeah. Let me put this in the chat as well, so you can read along. By the way, hi, chat. Hi, everyone in the chat. How's it going? Wish I could talk to you. Maybe we'll talk more tomorrow. I got a stream. You never know. I might have a stream every day this week. We'll see. But at least I got one tomorrow going on, and probably Wednesday too. So I'm going through some of the tech side, some of the fundamentals, what privacy pools are, and we'll talk about PulseChain too. So key features and capabilities, partial withdrawals. User can withdraw portions of their deposit. I mean, that's pretty interesting too, where you don't need to, say you want to privately send 10 ETH somewhere. It sounds like you can deposit 10 ETH and then you can withdraw parts of it at a time, because this says user can withdraw portion of the deposit while maintaining privacy. So you don't even need to do like a direct one here. It's kind of like, it's almost kind of reminds me, I mean, it's a pool. So it reminds me of a liquidity pool where you can deposit, but instead of, the funds being used for trading and liquidity and stuff, it's just kind of sitting there. It's like in the contract or wherever. And then you can withdraw as you need to. So it's almost like putting in a contract, taking out later, and there's this disconnection link between the two places that it's going from and to. Supports native cryptocurrency, ERC20 tokens, very important. So yeah, sounds like your privacy pools on Ethereum. I don't know, unless there's some special EIP upgrade or something we need. Seems like PulseChain could easily get it with PRC20s as well. Compliance integration, SP approval list for regulatory compliance. Non-custodial users maintain control of their funds through cryptographic commits. So here it says non-custodial users maintain control of their funds through commits. Yeah, so it's not, so does the contract hold it? Or is it just saying it does hold it, but nobody can transfer it out, only you can, because, you got to sign something with your, with your key or whatever they generate for you otherwise. Rage quit mechanism, nice. Allows original depositors to recover funds if their funds are not approved by ASP by publicly exiting privacy protocol. Original depositors recover funds if they're not approved by the ASP. Huh, okay. Interesting. So core concepts, so you're not approved of privacy pools, demonstrate. Okay. I'm going to get into the ZKP stuff, but I was curious. Deposit, withdrawal, rage. Okay, so user generates commitment components, deposits funds, submits pool, adds a tree, withdrawal, proves ownership decision commitment, creates new commitment. Okay, so yeah, so commitment is like the main deal here. Remaining funds, marks previous commitment is spent, receives withdrawal assets. Okay, cool. So yeah, so with Tornado Cash, you to ETH, amount, 0.1, 10 ETH, you can see the anonymity set for that as well. Oh, pretty interesting. And that's Tornado Cash. And then I want to go to, so I want to talk about Liberty Swap a little bit too on this, because they have talked about, they mentioned something I thought was super interesting. So, well, before we get into that, so there's a coffee tweet about this one. This is when, Tornado Cash off the OFAC list. Great news, fork ZKZX. So I saw something in the chat. Let me know, chat, if you've used any privacy protocols on PulseChain, because this one I know it looks exactly like Tornado Cash. So ZKZX. So curious. So you can do 100K. So instead of, so if you look at the two, this can do 0.1 ETH, 1 ETH, 10 ETH, 100 ETH. So this one you can do 100K PLS, 1 million PLS, 10 million, and 100 million. So 928 equal user deposits. It's not really the latest deposits, at least immediately, but this one looks like people are using it. 928 equal user deposits. If that's the other people deposits on it. So didn't somebody earlier say that they were using ZKZX? Oh, Frank White, yeah. ZKZX on PulseChain works well. Nice. Okay. So deposit, withdrawal. So you can do PLS. Okay. Pretty interesting. Yeah, I wasn't sure if this one was still working or not, but it sounds like, so that one, I think there was some other ones too. What was the, and there's so much to cover here. I'm trying to, there's a ton of different pieces I get into, but I thought that was this and some other ones. I'm not sure, how well they're working or people using them or not, but this is the only one I hear people talking about as much, which is a fork of Tornado Cash. It's also a Railgun that I think talked about that a little bit before. Could it be launched on PulseChain? Hop around a little bit. Just trying to look at, see. So I think Railgun's the one where you can do, let's go to Railgun real quick. Railgun, Ethereum. So on-chain ZK privacy. This one does like shielding and unshielding. Let's see. So use Railgun. Choose a front end. Railway wallet. So there's even a wallet for it. This one, I think you can do DeFi private stuff. Let's see. Where can I see like how it works? What is Railgun? Railgun is code that exists on every Ethereum node. It's a privacy system built directly on chain for Ethereum, BSC, Polygon. Well, could be PulseChain one day. Could be on there. Use ZK cryptography, private use of smart contracts and DeFi. Yeah, so I think Railgun is the one that is, so it looks like Tornado Cash and stuff, and the forks of that are targeting like transactions, like privacy pool. I guess it's privacy pool. Tornado Cash versus privacy pool. Let's do that. Let's go to GPT real quick too while we're here. Let's do, does Tornado, I just want to make sure I'm talking about the right tech to Tornado Cash. Use privacy pools. Yeah, I thought it was. Okay, I want to make sure it wasn't a different kind of tech, but it's, privacy pools. I know it's used, I thought so, but I just want to make sure. So Tornado Cash is like the different ways of doing privacy. So Tornado Cash, privacy pools. And then there's Railgun that does the, Tornado Cash versus Railgun. Railgun is the DeFi, so you can shield different DeFi pieces. Railgun uses to create a shielded environment where users maintain private balances. So instead of deposit withdrawal anonymity, you say the word anonymous, anonymity. There you go. Something like that. Tornado, Railgun lets you send, receive, and interact with DeFi protocols like Uniswap directly and privately within a system. Transactions are encrypted, but still validated by ZK proofs. So flexibility, you can transfer arbitrary amounts, not limited to fixed dominations. Okay, allows you private transfer to any amount, DeFi compatible. Yeah, so this is where you can interact with. So instead of SINs, this is like you can do private DeFi stuff. You can interact with DEXs and stuff like that. Continuous privacy, not just one-time mixing. More complex, potentially higher gas costs. Interesting. Well, should be a problem on PulseChain, hopefully. Newer and less battle tested. Tornado Cash. Yeah, so Tornado Cash, one-time mixing via pools, Railgun private balance transfers, proves deposit withdrawal, line break, proves private balance updates, transactions have deposit withdrawal, private send swaps to DeFi. Cool. So which one to use for Tornado Cash? Best if you need to anonymize funds between addresses. So unlink your wallet from exchange deposit, person to person, all that. Railgun best if you want ongoing private DeFi interactions or private transfers, arbitrary amounts. So pretty cool there. Okay, so Railgun looks awesome as well. Can we get on a PulseChain? Let's get it. Because we got, yeah, so I wonder because this one, yeah, let me answer this question too. Does Tornado Cash use privacypools.com deployed on Ethereum or different privacy pools implementation? I wonder if there's more than one, because Tornado Cash has been around for a while. Yeah, so this is the privacy pools. So it employs the unimplemented privacy pools. Yeah, that's what that makes sense. Because privacy pools is pretty, at least the official one, it's pretty new. Okay, so it has new features. Abstract privacy pool contract designed for ETH ERC20 with more features, flexible features than Tornado's fixed pools. Partial withdrawals, multi-asset support, ASPs to vet deposits. Yeah, that was maybe Tornado Cash didn't have that. And yeah, government didn't like it and all that stuff, which is what happened. Could have happened before, but that could be upgraded too to make Tornado Cash more compliant or something. Entry point to manage pools and PEs. Tornado Cash is simpler and decentralized, no SP, no vetting. Price pools introduced compliant controls. Okay. Gotcha. Are you entertained? We're getting a little technical today. Even I'm kind of learning as I go on a lot of stuff too. But yeah, and I'll get to Liberty Swap too, because there's some interesting stuff that could be coming up for PulseChain. So far, recap. We have Tornado Cash fork on PulseChain called ZKZX. Heard some people use it, talk about it. So there's that. I think there's some other privacy protocols. Put them in the chat if you know. And Tornado Cash for transaction, deposit, privacy pool stuff. And then Railgun for DeFi privacy stuff, which would be awesome too. So private sends, private swaps, private DeFi. Pretty cool. I'll drop this in the chat as well if you want to take a look. And then let's go to, let me see if I can find it, because Liberty Swap, the hottest swap on the chain right now, it seems to be. I've heard a lot of good things, a lot of people using it. Let me see, because they mentioned something I thought was pretty cool. Shout out to Liberty Swap. So this one, oh yeah, Archie said yeah, block. I know there's block blend. Doesn't block blend support? What is that? Is it blockblend.io? Do they support? I think they support. I'm not sure if they're like native PulseChain, but I think they support PulseChain. Let's see, from Ethereum. Yeah, they support PulseChain on here. So is that, yeah, thank you, Archie. Yeah, that's the one I almost forgot too. So this is not like I don't think it's a specific PulseChain one, but they support PulseChain here too as well. So anyone having experience with that one, let me know. ZK, Paul says ZK P2P. Okay. ZK P2P, ZKP2P.io. Yeah. Oh, .xyz. XYZ, on ramp in 60 seconds. Pay using Venmo. Is this the right one? Pay using. I don't see PulseChain on here. Do not see the PulseChain. Let's see. Documentation. Yeah, I remember ZKP2P. I think that was one that we talked about would be cool to have on PulseChain. Is that what it was? But I don't think it supports PulseChain now. So I remember this one. I think Richard talked about it as well. So our mission is to bridge the gap between traditional Web 2, centralized. Okay, let me just versus ZKP2P. Oops. It's not that good at spell check. ZKP2P is fundamentally different from Tornado Cash and privacy pools, even though leverage ZK proofs. ZK proofs, all the rage. Awesome stuff. I'm glad this technology finally has some cool implementations there too. Oh, Liberty Swap says they're working with them to get on P2P. Okay, cool. Thank you. Tornado Cash. Okay, privacy pools exposed, C2P. So peer-to-peer transaction privacy, not pulling direct payments between two parties using CP. Okay, so what's the difference between that Tornado Cash? Privacy pools, features, difference in Tornado, how it works, privacy model, let's see, direct P2P. So how does it work? Compare Tornado Cash, or let's just do privacy pools. Privacy pools versus ZKP2P, how it works and user experience. Aren't you glad I can use AI for you and talk about it? To me, it's like anyone can just go AI and learn all this stuff, but I guess the value I bring is I can take that and like kind of use it as part of the stream and part of the nuance and stuff I have for PulseChain as well, and kind of figure it out on the fly. And background in tech, I can probably understand a little bit better if you don't have a background in tech or coding or otherwise. Hopefully bringing some value today to the conversation. I'm learning too. I like this too. How it works. Okay. Instead of depositing funds in shared pools, ZKP2P enables peer-to-peer transactions. I know, but like, how does it work? Okay. Privacy. User experience workflow send transaction. Anonymity set from the pool deposits direct ZK proofs per transaction. Okay, I guess it's just that. They just use ZK proofs per transaction. Okay. Deposit, wait, withdrawal. I got a Primeagen vibe just now. I was like, have you been watching? You better watch the Primeagen. He does a lot of tech stuff. I feel like I just had a sound like him for a second there. Direct private send, minimal any amount. Okay, cool. So similar but different tech. Okay. Privacy pools mixer style, privacy layer with privacy depends on being a part of a crowd. Yeah, that's an important analogy. Direct private payment system like privacy native Venmo on Ethereum. That's cool. Okay, yeah, we got a lot of cool privacy stuff coming up. Joker, they need privacy oriented wallet crown PulseChain. Only one I know that talks about privacy more. Well, I don't know. I don't know all the ones on PulseChain. The only one that I've seen talk. I mean, let me just ask you here. Best privacy wallet for PulseChain. I bet Internet Money is going to come up. So Pulse Wallet comes up. Don't know. I haven't used them before. Internet Money comes up. Yeah, they talk about, I know even on the website stuff, they talk about no KYC, no data collection, all that. Block wall. Yeah, I don't know any of these other ones, or I haven't used any of these other ones except internet money from what I can see. But if you want to, I mean, even with MetaMask, if you click, so go over DeFi, click privacy. Anyone not heard of Go Real DeFi? I feel like I've said it. I don't like repeating things over and over. Maybe I should. It's just something I don't like to do all the time. But I feel like, are there people who don't know about Go Real DeFi that I should explicitly just not hand wave it away each time? Like, Go Real DeFi, click on this thing. You can use the official apps. You can go learn and deep dive and get access to all this other stuff too. If you do prevent MetaMask and Pura from spying, I'll drop this in chat. From spying on your crypto, it'll tell you how to change your RPC and stuff from the default Ethereum one. It goes to Goldman Sachs. No, I don't know. It is corporate Infura thing though. It was JP Morgan or something owns them to something that doesn't do that. To just use a pure RPC instead of using the Infura. Anyways, back here. Okay. I'm not going to get this tweet unless I go to it. Liberty Swap. Here we go. Let me put this in the chat. One day we discussed designing our protocols USDC ETH pools on PulseChain to work in two modes. One is a standard fast pool for quick transactions with no privacy. The other is a slow pool, similar to Tornado Cash, where users deposit their privacy coins and the contract releases fixed amounts at random intervals. Technology is already there, but we haven't set a timeline to combine the two modes yet. Privacy is clearly our main focus. We might find an even better way to implement it directly on PulseChain. Pretty sweet. And then, by the way, libertyswap.finance, if you want to check it out, drop it in the chat. All the rage right now on PulseChain. Cross-chain swap thing. Kind of like Bridge. Instead of using the bridge, I hear people have been using it because it's been faster, but then now I think they saw something recently that's a little bit slower right now because they're getting so much usage. So I hope this thing grows into, if it seems pretty legit so far, hopefully it grows into this just massive, great onboarding tool and thing for people in the community to use too, because you can go from base, BSC, Arbitrum. There was the contracts though. I was going to do a deep dive on Liberty Swap and kind of how the contracts and stuff work, or at least some kind of informational stream and stuff on it. But they're currently unverified, which is usually be careful because they're not verified. We can't read the code and all that stuff. But they've talked about it publicly and stuff too, where they're making, there's a thread where they talk about we're doing upgrades and things are changing and then just not part of the dev process and stuff right now. It isn't, if it gives you any cover, again, unverified contracts, but it is listed on pulsechain.com. If you go to pulsechain.com, it's pretty, they did get they do have a pretty good nod from pulsechain.com, just on home. If you scroll down, Liberty Swap listed here along with the bridge, Gibbs Finance, Liberty Swap. So they are on pulsechain.com. So apparently the devs are Richard, somebody, and Richard tweeted about him before too. There is that. So hopefully good actors so far. They've been killing it with all the good stuff for the community. And one day we'll be able to read their contract code, hopefully, there too. So anyways, let me finish this thread. So great question here from Tandy on this thread as well. So if I understand correctly, privacy features are planned for the future and currently not implemented. All transactions are currently traceable. Responsible Liberty Swap, all transactions are currently traceable with professional tools, but it's still difficult to do, and only phase one. So if you do go to the docs, you can see the different phases. So focus on cross-chain swap and SIM functionality between PulseChain and other blockchains. And then phase two, plans to integrate additional privacy routes and services, enhancing the platform's privacy features. So they seem to be wanting to build some privacy stuff too on that piece. So pretty cool. They have a lot of memes. It's a bridge to PulseChain now. Pretty good. And what was the other? Oh, there's a great thread. Let me cover this real quick too, even though we went through a lot of it. But this was a super good thread on privacy. The Buy Crypto Solve. Let's see. Yeah, this one. Put this in the chat. So privacy protocols aren't perfect. They're only as good as the user. We've had drafted for a while. And recent OA ETH movement seems like a perfect time to dive into nuanced privacy protocols. One of the core principles of blockchain technology is there's a publicly verifiable ledger of transactions. This is a double-edged sword. It also means wallet privacy is extremely difficult if you're not careful. PulseChain users love to get excited when they see ETH being moved around with Tornado Cash, Railgun project. These protocols are great for obscuring movement of funds, but they do have their limitations. So they go through a thread with these, whereas Tornado Cash remains one of the most popular privacy protocols initially designed to handle ETH, but has since expanded to include several other tokens and multiple blockchains. It also expanded to offer more advanced Tornado Cash Nova in recent years, but for simplicity's sake, we'll just look at the original Tornado Cash and how it works with ETH. So Tornado Cash is a mixer or tumbler protocol. It works by users depositing specific amounts of ETH, 0.1, 1, 10, 100. Yeah, just as we can see here. It's on the original interface. Into a common pool contract with all other users. These pools often referred to as anonymity sets. Oh, that word. AS, there we go. When lots of people use Tornado Cash, it creates large mixer pools. For example, 100 ETH pool on Ethereum currently has 125,000 ETH in it, which came from 1,250 separate 100 ETH deposits made by hundreds of wallets. With each deposit, the contract generates a unique cryptographic commit, hashed secret, and nullifier recorded on chain, which is provided to the user as a note. To remove ETH, users withdraw from a different wallet and provide the note as proof of ownership to the smart contract. It uses technology called ZK snarks, allowing one party, the wallet making the withdrawal, to use the note to prove to another party, smart contract, that a statement, note, is true without revealing any additional information to the blockchain. This means that no traceable blockchain link occurs between the deposit and the withdrawal wallet, thereby breaking the chain of evidence. So pretty cool. That's how that one works at a more technical level. What is Railgun? Railgun essentially takes a core concept of Tornado Cash and made it far better. Main improvements are supports any RC20 token, no fixed denominations, expand the scope from just deposit withdrawal to include DeFi interoperability with trading, lending, and staking protocols. Pretty cool. Definitely see this on PulseChain, right? This is like right up PulseChain, right up its alley, right? Very cool. Like, it just seems natural PulseChain would have this, if not soon, like one day. Introduce the concept of shielded balances. So where asset type and number aren't visible on the public ledger. Using Railgun adds a layer of complexity over Tornado Cash, as you need a separate Z0 ZK wallet address to manage the shielded funds. These are private addresses generated by Railgun for each user, unlike public Ethereum addresses. Zero ZK addresses are not visible on chain and are used solely to manage private funds. Concept of Railgun is so good that Vitalik recently discussed incorporating the same features in the core Ethereum technology as part of his personal privacy roadmap, though without the need for a separate wallet like Railgun requires. Ooh, that'd be a game changer. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. The tech. Both protocols sound great, but are they truly private? Just how private are they? In theory, they totally de-link wallets, but in reality, the true privacy they offer is limited unless used correctly. All privacy pools are only as good as the number of users and the volume interacting with them. Yeah. Say, for example, you want to move 100K DAI through Tornado Cash in 10K lots. On-chain data shows there have only been around 10 deposits in the 10K DAI pool in the last year. So if you suddenly enter 10 new deposits and then withdraw them to different wallets after a few days, the trail of information is quite clear, despite theoretically being delinked. It would be much smarter to sell this DAI into ETH and move it through ETH Tornado Cash pools, where 1,000 transactions from hundreds of wallets happen most days. You got much larger and much noisier anonymity sets, AS, to be mixed with. While the technology theoretically delinks the two wallets to the naked eye, sometimes it's only good as the achievable plausible deniability and pseudo-anonymity. Depending on the intent of the users trying to delink wallets, that might be enough. True privacy requires patience and very intentional behavior. So how can you use them well? Excellent thread by the CryptoSolve. How can you interact with privacy protocols in a truly anonymous way? There are 4 elements to get it right. 1, token choice. As described above, some privacy protocols are better than others. Picking a token amount that's commonly used, such as 10 ETH for classic Tornado Cash, improves the likelihood that you'll be able to truly delink the wallets as you're using a noisier AS. Railgun enhances the ability to mask common token movements, as the amounts you can send and receive are entirely flexible. You could enter any reasonable amount of ETH in the pool and withdraw it over several weeks to multiple wallets in small chunks of different denominations. Whilst Railgun offers the ability to run any ERC20 through the protocol, if you're the only wallet interacting with that ERC20 at both the ends, then the link is quite obvious. Sticking to ETH or other common tokens, USDC is a much better choice. Patience. True anonymity requires immense patience, particularly if you're dealing with large figures. The longer the time delay between entry and exit, the harder it is to definitively link wallets. Imagine depositing a single 10 ETH chunk, then waiting a month to withdraw it. You probably had 2,000 other transactions in the middle to obfuscate your moves. Larger amounts, such as thousands of ETH, require significant patience to mix properly, particularly with the rigid limitations of classic Tornado Cash. It ideally takes weeks or months to adequately mix thousands of ETH, assuming the pools being used are popular/busy. People are often uncomfortable waiting extended periods of time with the money stuck in a smart contract. It is not uncommon to see funds deposited withdrawn in the span of minutes or hours. Pseudo privacy at best. Wallet management. Multiple wallets always trump a single wallet. Let's say you deposit 100 ETH with 10 times 10 ETH transactions. If you withdraw all the 100 ETH in a single wallet, even with time delays on the other end, and the only person who deposited 10 times 10 ETH in recent history, it's pretty easy to make the connection. Instead, withdrawing chunks to 5 to 10 separate wallets spaced out over days, weeks, months makes it almost impossible to tie the wallets together, particularly if those wallets don't interact after mixing. One of the many advantages Railgun has over Tornado Cash is the ability to deposit and withdraw amounts that aren't fixed. You could deposit 20 ETH on one end. You could deposit 20 ETH and withdraw over 600 different wallets in small variable small chunks if you wanted to. This makes wallet management a lot more flexible. Post-mixing behavior. It's no use going to all the effort above, then combining the funds to a common wallet somewhere down the road. It's a lot of extra admin to manage lots of wallets, and combining them once nobody's watching seems safe enough, but it's not. Even interacting with a common protocol can be a real giveaway. For example, the same bridge. For example, some of the recent 100 ETH Tornado Cash movements we tracked all ended up in common addresses as USDD on Tron. A huge amount of high-level chain analysis involves understanding behavioral patterns and using things like timing analysis. Keeping post-mixing behavior totally delinked is a nightmare, but not impossible due to relative predictability of human nature. So it goes into further how to move large amounts of money. I'm not going to read all of it too because I'm getting tired of using my voice on all this too, but super, super informative. I do want to talk about the PulseChain specific example. People get excited when they see funds originating from Railgun or Tornado Cash appear on PulseChain, but it's often traceable back to average Joes. So it goes through to address the availability query. The OG pump.tyrus ETH is basically untraceable as it was a small, carefully managed amount from a large Railgun privacy protocol. Go through the 800K example now. Okay, so you're just going through the example. I'm not going to read all of it, but just one piece there too. Another example, privacy protocol takeaways. Tornado Cash and Railgun project are good, but not perfect. They're only as good as the user and the size of anonymity sets. True wallet privacy is hard to achieve, but it may not be the ultimate goal of most people using protocols. Plausible deniability is likely good enough for most, but it may not hold up to legal scrutiny. Small, well-managed funds are easy to anonymize. Large funds with less than ideal management are nearly impossible to truly anonymize. And it's why you hear a large crypto hacks being entirely traced end-to-end by good chain analysis. See the recent Bybit hack, for example, if you followed it. If you're going to use privacy protocols for large funds, take some time to consider your ultimate goals and understand that achieving true anonymity will likely require lengthy time periods, superhuman patience, impeccable wallet management, and enough self-awareness to go against your basic human nature. Laziness and patience are what trips up 99% of people. Never assume that Tornado Cash or Railgun funds bridged into protocol come from Richard. It'd be very easy for an influencer to Railgun in some ETH and generate a whole pile of misdirected FOMO on a token of their choice if they were so inclined. Of note, PulseChain has Tornado Cash forks, EKCX, we talked about earlier, but almost nobody uses it, meaning privacy pools are essentially useless. So again, people using it, I don't have a lot of experience using it, but this is one take on it as well. As technology improves, the people better understand the limitations of the protocols, it's likely to see a world where the true wallet privacy is possible, irrespective of the quality of chain analysis. It's one of the major unintended consequences of public blockchain technology, and is one of the major hurdles to overcome before pure DeFi can ever truly thrive. So well done. Well done. Excellent thread. And I think we'll stop there. Everyone, privacy. Hopefully you know a little bit more about it. Different options. Hopefully some fun stuff coming to PulseChain. But that's all we have for you today. Scivive and 5555. We are out.